about to ask you to consider to vote on, it will be, I believe, the most important resolution potentially you'll ever vote on and pass. And that's a mouthful. And let me tell you why it's important. And I'm not going to do my campaign speech here, but this line I believe in. The world is not a safe and stable place unless America is strong, and America is not strong unless Texas is strong. We cannot count on California, and don't want to. We cannot count on New York. We cannot count on Illinois, who's paying their bills with IOUs. Texas, if we fail in Texas, we fail as a nation.
Yeah.
And it's up to Republicans, and I don't want to offend anybody, but I like to think it's conservative Republicans who will lead that charge. If you lose Texas, and the Democrats win it, those electoral votes in New York and California block us out of the White House forever. You can't overcome it. So we have to hold the line. So Texas must be strong. And so if we believe, and you're all here because you believe that Republicans and conservative Republicans should lead the day, here is what I need your help on, and other senators. And I will mention several names who said, feel free, Dan, to tell them I'm with you. There's a possibility that the Senate will elect the next interim lieutenant governor and governor. Now, I was told that there were some people that said, I don't know if I'm comfortable with the SREC getting involved in this, because if we assume that we pass this resolution, are we assuming that David Dewhurst is going to win, and is that fair? I could argue that if you don't pass the resolution, you're assuming you don't need to because he's not going to win, and is that fair? So I would ask you to put that issue on the side. That's not the issue. The issue is if David Dewhurst wins, and if Rick Perry wins, the Texas Senate will select two of our own to be the interim and interim governor. Now let me give you a little history. What happened in 2001? Bill Ratliff won by one vote, 16-15. And Rodney Ellis became chairman of finance. Enough said?
Enough said.
One vote. All right? So, I have been leading the charge and calling every Republican senator to make a pledge to you and your districts that the Republican caucus of 16 Republicans will be the vote for lieutenant governor and governor if we are called upon to do so. And why is that important? Because we're going to come back into next session, probably another 12 to 15 billion short. We're going to see battle after battle after battle again. And despite the fact that Governor Perry is a very strong governor, and despite the fact that Joe and David did their best to lead, the two most important and powerful people in the legislature this session were the two Democrats who voted as the 20th and 21st vote on every bill. Had we not suspended the 21 vote rule, we wouldn't have voter ID. Had we not suspended the 21 vote rule, we wouldn't have passed anything in the special session. And that's a second issue that ties into this. But my point is, we can't let, and if this sounds partisan, so be it. That's why we're all here. We are not here. We work well with the other side. They work well with us. 80% of the issues are nonpartisan. But when it gets down to the meat and potatoes, that's why there are two parties. I'm not interested in the other side being happy with what I say on this issue. And I'm not interested in what the moderates in our party think on this issue. Because the future of the world, the future of the nation, depends on Texas. And do you want even one Democrat deciding on who the next governor is?
No. No.
Or lieutenant governor?
No.
We don't want one. And let me tell you, those 12 Democrats are plotting that strategy. And if I were them, that's what I would be doing. Bonnie, I'll get to you in just one second. So here's what I'm asking. Jane Nelson, by the way, said she's with me. Troy Frazier said, I'm with you and I'll vote all day on this issue. Brian Birdwell's with me. Joan Huffman's with me. New candidates, Larry Taylor, Ken Paxton, Rodney Anderson, Kelly Hancock are with me on this issue. We need every Republican running for the Senate to commit that it will be 16 Republicans to choose these two positions, and that it's an open vote. This should be a public vote. Because if it's not, anyone can say anything. and then the vote 16 to 15, and we don't know who elected. And I can guarantee you that even if just one Democrat gets to join 15 other Republicans, if they get to do that, there's going to be someone beholden to someone or something that's going to impact everything we do. And we're going to win the state. We're going to do very well again. But unless we have conservatives leading, then all of your work and all of my work and all of our voters' work will be forgotten. They'll stop key legislation that's important for the future of the state. So it's partisan, yes. That's what we do, and that's why we're here. So I'm asking you, there's going to be a resolution brought up, to support this resolution unanimously. Send a message, talk to your senators. There are others, I have 10 votes with me right now. Now there are some senators who said, Dan, I'm with you, but I'm not ready to be public. And I respect that. The ones I mentioned, the ones who said, yes, let my folks and the other folks know I'm with you. But we have 10. Now there's another factor here. And this is where you may have a question. When is the vote held? Because here's what's complicated. The Senate and Congress will be inaugurated or sworn in. So if, whomever it is, and we're doing this in the event Dewhurst wins. If Dewhurst wins and Mike Jackson is running for Congress, depending if that district is still there after the courts are done with the maps, and if Mike wins, he's the president pro tem, so he would step down. Once David Dewhurst steps down, if he wins, we have 30 days to fill that position. So if he waits until the end of December, we're within that 30-day window of session starting. Now, why is this important? Because if he steps down before that, we have to make a decision before we're sworn in, which means that the 5 senators who we know right now, well, 4 we know aren't coming back, they've announced. 1 may lose, and others may announce. They'll have a vote. And I don't think that the people who are leaving should have a vote on the next lieutenant governor. So that's the second part of this issue. I believe, and I'm hoping that if this all works out as I think it may, the lieutenant governor would not resign until about 2 weeks before, and then when we're sworn in, those senators who are actually going to have to work with that lieutenant governor will cast the vote, which would mean if Kelly Hancock beats Wendy. And if the others win, whomever wins, it'll be a different vote than if the people who are leaving vote. And so it's important that I think that you stand and speak and then communicate that and be strong about it. Because the future of our state is at risk. It is at risk. And look, some of you know, and I want to clear this up as well in closing, and I'll take whatever questions you have. Some of you know I was thinking about running for the U.S. Senate. At the end of the day, I made the decision, I may well make the runoff, I might win, but is that where I can be most effective? I'm 61 years old. I have a limited window to make an impact. Where can I make the most impact? I can make the most impact here, not in Washington, in the window that I think I can be active. So I may consider running for lieutenant governor, as others are talking about, 2014. And I don't want anyone to think, well, is this benefit Dan? The truth is, it benefits Dan if someone becomes lieutenant governor who was elected by Democrats, because that would be easy to defeat. So I want to be very clear that, first of all, I'm not going to be up for nomination for this interim appointment. I'm too conservative and outspoken to begin with. They wouldn't choose me. And I wouldn't accept the nomination. So this is not about me. It's not about a future race. This is what's best for us. And at the end of the day, if 16 of the 19 of us, or 16 of the 20, if we do this after the election, even if it's someone I don't agree with, or you don't agree with, at least 16 Republicans chose them. And I can't argue with that. And I think that's really important. And the folks back home won't understand it, because this is very complicated. There are all kinds of questions involved in what could happen if both win. For example, if we also are replacing the governor, it's believed, because it's never happened before, that the senator who would replace, the senator who becomes lieutenant governor still gets the vote of the senator and keeps their seat. But the senator who becomes governor, which would be the first person, so let's say we have to pick 2. The first person we pick for lieutenant governor becomes governor, then we pick another senator. Well, once that senator becomes governor, we believe they have to resign their office, and there could be a special election for that seat, because you can't serve in the legislative branch and
the executive branch.
in the executive branch. And they wouldn't have a vote, which now plays in the whole 21 vote rule, because how many votes are we going to have to work with, which was the second issue. And I know you've passed resolutions in the past, and I appreciate that, and that is the other key issue. We can have 20 senators, and we can have a Republican governor and speaker and 101 House members, and if one Democrat or 11 Democrats can block us on any bill, as they did this session, then all of our work is for naught. So, I hope you will consider and strongly support this resolution. It's not unfair to anyone who's running for the current U.S. Senate seat. It doesn't favor anyone in the Senate. It's the right thing to do by our principals in our party. Bonnie, you were first with the question.
Yes, sir. Rodney Ellis has I'm in Rodney
Yes.
Ellis' district, so I totally understand what you're referring to. But maybe you can explain why we would need to do it today as opposed to our meeting
Right.
in December.
Well, here's my thinking. And look, some senators won't agree with me, but 10 do so far. And you heard the ones that names I offered up today who said, be sure everyone knows I agree with you, Dan. If you wait till after the filing deadline in December to vote on this resolution, and I'm running, and I don't have an opponent, then why do I do it? Well, I understand that, but then it's a week to go. If someone says no and you pass a resolution, there's not time in the last week for somebody to jump in the race. And I'm not suggesting that any of our companies, I always get in trouble with my colleagues. I work well with them, and they work well with me, but I just tell it like it is. And here's the truth, Bonnie. You need to get people on the record now, before filing period, to make a pledge. And if this weren't so important, I wouldn't be here. If this weren't so important, these other members wouldn't be speaking out. Because there is a movement afoot to get 12 Democrats and 4 Republicans. And our party, or at least I'm told, and there surely could be a movement afoot to get 8 nays. And can you imagine our voters who have worked so hard in the trenches with you as leaders and your precinct chairs and your volunteers? Can you imagine if we end up letting Democrats pick our next governor for 2 years? You want to destroy our party? Or our lieutenant governor? So, Bonnie, I think it's important. And look, I work well with all my members. They're all honorable people. I think they all do the right thing. But not everyone quite sees it this way. And we need to at least get 16 people, plus the new members who come in case they get to vote, to say 16 others, because that gives us the block.
Senator Patrick, quick question. I'm not totally up on the succession rules, but is the state senate required to pick one of their own for both
Yes.
of these posts?
Yes.
Thank
We
you.
would have to pick a fellow senator.